Coming up, the race to rescue 41 dogs from a suspected puppy trafficking ring.
There's a huge amount of money to be made out of breeding and selling puppies.
The horrific story of tiny newborn pups left for dead in a suitcase.
I remember hearing a really strange noise, really eerie noise.
And what happens when you have more huskies than you can handle.
They're your dogs, and this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to give you the chance to choose which dogs you kept.
We all love puppies, but sadly, the numbers of people trying to make a quick buck from selling little ones like Alfie here is on the increase. In Europe alone, the illegal animal trade is estimated to be worth as much as £260 million. It's thought that as many as 1,000 puppies a week are smuggled into Britain, often coming from Eastern Europe and through Ireland and Wales. Once they are here, the puppies are sold on to rogue dealers who hide the dogs' true identities.
I've got a piece of paper, pup 8 months old, £100.
Organised gangs sell on pedigree breeds to maximise profits, and with some puppies costing as much as £2,000, there are millions to be made. Whether it's puppies being trafficked illegally or unlicensed puppy farms, they are known to cut corners. And if things like vaccinations aren't taken care of, it can have serious consequences. Some puppies are known to die within days of coming home. Today, Inspector Kathy Hyde's on the outskirts of Manchester, and she's working with the police in a joint operation to smash a suspected puppy trafficking ring. Kathy has been with the RSPCA for over 10 years and has a rescued Cocker Spaniel called Morse. It's 9 a.m. and police have just raided a house in Lancashire. Kathy's on standby until it's safe to go in.
There's a huge amount of money to be made out of breeding and selling puppies. Some come from sort of more locally, which is Wales or Ireland, but it appears more and more that they're coming from Eastern European countries, and there's concerns about their welfare coming that far, and also in terms of what vaccinations they've had prior to being imported.
Until the police give Kathy and her team the thumbs up, they'll have to sit tight. After a tense 45-minute wait, they're given the OK to move in.
We've just had a call from the people who are already in the house that they're ready for us to come in, because we're in a position now to start removing puppies and start logging everything that we find.
For legal reasons, we weren't allowed in, but after Kathy spends a good hour exploring the house, one thing is clear in her mind: these dogs need to come out.
And there's probably about 30 dogs in there, puppies, not ideal environment, too crowded and things like that. So it's a question of sorting out exactly where they're going. We've got dogs everywhere, dogs about to give birth, lots of puppies, and there's major concerns about the welfare in there as well.
It's not yet known exactly how many dogs are in the house, but it looks as though it's one breed in particular that's been cashed in on.
This is a very heavily pregnant French bulldog bitch, and because she's so close to giving birth, it wouldn't be appropriate to put her in a kennel, so we've arranged a foster carer for her. Very sweet-natured, but you know, obviously her welfare's got to come first, so it's off to foster care for her.
French bulldogs are one of the hottest breeds in Hollywood. Film stars like Leonardo DiCaprio are big fans, and they don't come cheap. With a puppy able to fetch as much as £1,000, it's no wonder criminals see trafficking and unlicensed breeding as an easy way to line their pockets. Kathy's team are on hand to get the dogs assessed and out of there. And as the numbers climb, more of them are showing signs of illness. But there's a few very young ones that Kathy is particularly concerned about. On the surface, they might look okay, but they're all showing signs of a potentially fatal virus.
We suspect this litter of puppies got something called parvovirus, which can kill very, very quickly. It affects their digestive system and they start pooing blood and getting very dehydrated, and these are the signs that we're seeing in these puppies. So priority to get them to the vet, get them rehydrated and get them treated.
In total, the team managed to rescue over 40 dogs, 10 of which needed urgent medical attention. As Kathy reaches the vets, 2 little puppies thought to have the killer parvovirus have gone downhill.
It's these two. I mean, we brought them to a very strange environment, and you can hear the other dogs and puppies in the background that are obviously interested, and these two aren't at all interested. They're very, very tired, very lethargic.
Kathy may have rescued them, but could it be too late to save them? Stay with us to find out. Earlier on, in Manchester, Chief Inspector Kathy Hyde and her team joined forces with the police in a crackdown on a suspected puppy trafficking ring.
They've got dogs everywhere, dogs about to give birth, lots of puppies, and there's major concerns about the welfare in there as well.
People involved in the black market puppy trade are making millions of pounds at the expense of dogs. And the puppies at this address showed signs that they may not have been receiving the care they deserve.
We suspect this litter of puppies got something called parvovirus, which can kill very, very quickly. It affects their digestive system and they start pooing blood and getting very dehydrated, and these are the signs that we're seeing in these puppies. So priority to get them to the vet, get them rehydrated and get them treated.
Puppies aren't as hardy as adult dogs, and if they haven't been vaccinated and are living in poor conditions, common in puppy trafficking cases, viruses spread and the consequences can be dire. So these dogs need urgent medical attention.
Basically, we've done some warrants at an address, but we're specifically concerned about these two in particular, suspected parvo.
Right.
They seem very dehydrated as well.
The parvovirus is highly contagious and mainly affects puppies, so if they're kept in close proximity, it spreads like wildfire. It causes big problems for the digestive tract, and symptoms include severe vomiting and diarrhoea causing dehydration. Distemper, another potentially deadly virus, shares some of the same symptoms. You can vaccinate against both, but in this case, it looks as though no one's bothered, and that's why these two are in big danger.
So are they just generally, you just notice them lethargic?
Very lethargic, very dehydrated, and also they've seen some blood in their faeces as well.
There's an easy test a vet can do to see how dehydrated the dog is. When the skin is pulled, if it stays up, like this, there's not enough fluid in the dog's body.
It's not whipping back as it should do, so we've got some dehydration issues in there.
And that's not all the vet discovers is wrong with them.
That's quite a severe conjunctivitis, that, for a puppy of this age. So that, you know, quite possibly could be viral.
Conjunctivitis is another highly contagious condition that could well have been passed around by the dogs all being kept together when they're ill. But for now, they have more pressing concerns.
We're going to just see if we can apply a catheter into one of the veins on the front leg and just start getting some intravenous fluids through there.
With no idea how long these little ones have been like this, they could still go downhill very quickly. And if the RSPCA hadn't got to them first, they could well have been sold on at death's door. We'll be checking in with them later in the show.
This is Gizmo. A few years ago, he was rescued from a life of neglect by the RSPCA. He was living in really awful conditions and suffering from a severe flea allergy, which was giving him all sorts of problems, as you can see from these photos. Severe sores and hair loss. He's much better now, but some of the emotional scars have stayed with him, and as a result, he's quite a nervous dog. He's scared of young children, has a tendency to chase after things, and even nip at people. But the good news is, there's all sorts of ways for dogs to overcome their fears.
Sally Jones, Gizmo's new owner, is taking him to see someone who might well be able to help him overcome his issues around children and running after things.
Normally, if we see other animals, tends to stay fairly close to my side on the lead, and sudden movement can make him kind of alert and a bit more jumpy.
This man could well have the solution to Gizmo's problems. Meet Nij Vyas and trusty sheepdog Sky. He's not a farmer, but a veteran dog trainer with over 20 years' experience. Hey! Nij believes that getting some nervous dogs up close and personal with sheep can help with confidence issues. And in Gizmo's case, his behaviour around children. Some might think taking a nervous dog and adding sheep to the mix sounds like a recipe for disaster. But Nidge has trained his sheep. They are confident around other animals, and they're used to working with dogs with behaviour issues. Without the help and advice of a professional like Nidge, this definitely shouldn't be tried at home.
If a dog is lacking in confidence or is sensitive, it's an absolute must that I'm totally the opposite, so that I can inspire and I can lead from a calm perspective.
So it looks like it's the one woman and her dog show.
Hi, I'm Sally.
Hello, I'm Nidge.
This is Gizmo.
And there's no way they'll be pulling the wool over Nidge's eyes.
I noticed while you were walking up already that he took very little notice of the sheep. He was maybe avoiding them so that he didn't have to face them.
I think it might be that.
Yeah. If you'd like to bring him over to the pens, we'll see what his reaction is to the sheep.
Let's go, Giz.
Today is all about getting Gizmo comfortable with the sheep and conquering his fears of the unknown. And this sheepdog trainer may have his work cut out for him.
This is quite common avoidance behaviour. He's turning his back on the sheep, he's playing nonchalant. I don't always see this response as a positive one.
But Nidge has a plan.
Firstly, I'd like you to just drop your lead and leave him to his own device. Let's just see what he does.
There's 15 points up for grabs on today's one woman and her dog. But this team will have to be on top form to get anywhere near that. He's holding his nerve. Can he stay with us? Not sure what the judges will make of this. 3 out of 5. Not a bad start.
If he was insecure, he would maybe have clung to you a little bit. So I'm pleased with this aspect.
Now for the real challenge, some up-close and personal time with the sheep. Dogs have been known to attack or even kill them, so Nidge is taking a leap of faith with a dog he's never worked with before. Sounds like a bad idea to me. Nidge believes that by giving Gizmo this experience, it will help him have a better relationship with children. Sheep, just like them, are unpredictable.
We want him to avoid children. If he doesn't feel comfortable with them, fine, but we want him to understand that they're not going to hurt him.
Yeah. Come on.
But will Gizmo be able to rise to the challenge and face his fear?
Come on.
Stepping into the pen now. This is a big deal for a first-timer. Oh, off to a shaky start there. No eye contact isn't going to do Gizmo any favours with the judges.
If you just step away from him, just very gently to the side, what you're doing by doing that is you're saying, look, this is really not my problem. You have to overcome it.
Oh, this is better. The eye contact we're looking for. That's right, it's got their attention now. Should reflect well in the score. 4! A good result. You're braver than me, Gizmo.
I'm pleased with him.
Collies have a natural ability to herd, but Gizmo is herding the wrong things, like people. And when they wander off, sometimes he chases after them, and he's even nipped at Sally's dad. But Nidge has a plan that might help break this cycle. Gizmo is interested in herding Sky, Nidge's dog, and Nidge wants to use Sky to activate Gizmo's instinct to chase things.
To be 100% trusting of Gizmo, what I now need is for you to be able to stop him when he's running. Will he stand or lie down?
He might sit.
Okay, sit's fine.
Okay.
So as soon as Sky moves, you have to tell him to sit.
Okay.
Could this work? It's a big move for Gizmo. He's shown promise so far, but he's a chaser. It's all about obedience here.
Come by.
Sit! Wow!
Okay. The reason you achieved that control is because you did not wait. When you spot things and you react within a split second, you will always have better reactions.
But was it just sheer luck? Can Gizmo pull it off for a second time? To get full marks, he'll have to.
Sit!
What a result! A perfect 5 out of 5 for Gizmo.
That was really, really good handling. Well done.
Thank you. Giz!
So after a nervous start, the day's training's been a success.
Over the process of working with Gizmo today, I haven't looked at Gizmo, I haven't approached Gizmo, I haven't talked to Gizmo. And it was interesting that he's, over the last few seconds, just making contact with me. That contact comes from his confidence improving.
With a grand total of 12, for a first-timer, Gizmo's done us all proud.
What we've seen just now with the sheep in the pen and how I now feel able, as long as I get my command in really quickly, to be able to stop him from chasing, I actually feel really confident that I can probably do that when I get home.
Earlier on, Chief Inspector Kathy Hyde and her team rescued over 40 dogs from a suspected illegal puppy farm. 10 were rushed to the vets, and 2 puppies were very poorly indeed.
They're very, very tired, very lethargic.
Back at the vets, for now, this little pair are still with us, but as the team assess the other puppies, some are showing worrying symptoms.
If we identify parvo or distemper, then they are life-threatening viral diseases, and in particular the puppies that we've got in there that are dehydrated, they're in a reasonable amount of danger at the moment from dying because of the condition that they've got.
There's nothing more the vets can do for the puppies suspected to have the parvovirus. For them, it's a waiting game. And the sad truth is, their problems could well have been prevented with a simple vaccination, but instead they were left to suffer. Next to get Sean's attention is one of the older dogs who has another very contagious condition, kennel cough.
That must be so unpleasant, constantly like that.
For dogs, kennel cough is a fairly common bacterial infection. Sometimes they'll recover on their own, but if it's severe, like this, it can lead to pneumonia, so it's always worth getting them checked out by a vet.
When they get it, you hear them occasionally, but this is almost constant, so I would think it's had it for some time and not had treatment.
So it's a good thing Sean's on hand to get it sorted.
Got an antibiotic in there, an anti-inflammatory.
What's wrong?
Just get rid of the inflammation in his throat. And there's also something called torbigesic, which is an antitussive. It's actually an anti-coughing agent. So it just breaks the cough cycle. If you've got a chronic cough, the cough makes you cough more. So we're trying to break the cycle and just settle it down. So we'll get that.
Kathy needs to make sure she gathers every ounce of evidence if she's to ensure a conviction. But as more of the dogs are seen,
These two are a bit worrying.
it's becoming clear that these dogs weren't being properly cared for.
Because of the condition of some of the animals that have come in, especially the very sick puppies, we're looking at possible offences under the Animal Welfare Act. Section 4 offence is where an animal's actually been allowed to suffer and is suffering when it's seen by the vet. So the puppies that have got suspected parvovirus or distemper should have had vet treatment some time ago, and they've not received that vet treatment, which was meant they're in a critical condition.
The team's been working tirelessly to get through the caseload, and the welfare of our four-legged friends is a top priority for everyone here.
This looks a bit of a mess. That's been there some time, hasn't it? It's quite nasty, isn't it?
It is nasty. Having a good chew at that, haven't you? That's a dermatitis. Sometimes if a dog gets a skin infection, as it starts to heal, you then get itchiness and they start to traumatise the skin quite severely, and that's the result of the self-trauma, that they just keep going and going and going at it. The skin then starts to have areas which is harbouring infection, and then it itches more, and on it goes, and it then becomes a vicious cycle. I'll give her an injection of a steroid-based anti-inflammatory. Let's get the itch out of it.
Last to come in is an English bulldog. The team think he may be the father of all the pups, and he has a badly infected eye.
Usually with cherry eye, then it is a difficult thing to get right because they recur so frequently. But again, what we've got to do is get rid of the inflammation, get rid of the infection, and then reassess that, see exactly what we need to do with that.
This is caused by a tear duct that's come out of place, but it's been left to fester.
In your opinion, do you think these should have been seen by a vet earlier on?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely seen by a vet.
I mean, those eyes are quite painful.
Yeah.
8 hours on, and it's been a gruelling day for the team. But the rescue's been well worth it. 10 of the rescued dogs needed urgent medical attention, and for some, the next few days are crucial to their survival.
We just have to sit and wait now with regards to response to treatment, unfortunately, in these sorts of instances, because you've got a very young animal which is very debilitated. The dehydration makes them feel exceptionally unwell. Sometimes they respond very quickly, so we find within 24, 48 hours of treatment they are the puppies that we'd expect to see. They're bright and they're up and about and they're causing havoc. But unfortunately, in some instances, we can keep them on fluids forever and a day, and it really doesn't make any difference because they reach an end point where they start to decline in their health. And of course, we have to then consider euthanasia if that happens.
We'll let you know how they got on later in the show.
This is Minnie on my left, and here on my right is Storm. Now, left to their own devices, dogs will do what comes naturally. Sure, I can spare you the details. A female dog could give birth to as many as 10 pups a year. So unless you're looking for a doggy football team with substitutes, well, things can quickly get out of hand.
Birmingham is the second biggest city in England, so with over 1 million of us living there, it's no surprise that there are plenty of four-legged animals there too. And it's also home to Inspector Hershey Bowl.
Oh, look at you two! Oh, this is puppy heaven, this.
A veteran of 14 years, and with her background as a veterinary nurse, she's perfect for the job. Today, Hershey's on her way to an address in Smethwick near Birmingham. A call has come in about an owner with a few too many huskies.
I think what's happened is that he's got a male dog and a female, and then they've had puppies, and then the male dog has then obviously bred with his daughters as well. It's not good for the dogs because that's how you end up with deformities and issues. So I'm just hoping that if he has got a lot of puppies and a lot of dogs and too many, that he might be willing to maybe sign some over. Oh, there's a husky in the window up there.
But that's not the only husky waiting for Hershey.
This is how I like it.
Wow, looks like he's brought all his friends and their families too. The owner, Jason, is at work, but they're all being looked after by Nikki and Ken, and they've certainly got their hands full. Looks like there's been some new arrivals too.
There are about 15 huskies in this property. Look at them, they're responsible for all of these.
Ah, the proud parents. They've been busy. Unless you're looking to travel around by sledge, it's probably not a great idea to end up with so many dogs. Now, this type of situation is easily preventable. For male dogs, well, it's a case of kissing bye-bye to the goodies. Whilst female dogs can be neutered. They're both straightforward operations, and the experts say they have little or no effect on a dog's personality. But unfortunately, as adorable as they are,
this is the good bit of my job, isn't it?
It's already too late for this household.
They wake up, say, 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes and start howling and barking. About 8 o'clock, it's their feeding time, so they go mad then because they know food's on the go. We feed half of them in here and half in the kitchen, so that's all the bowls to prepare. But we spend most of the day then just pooper scooping, if you like, and mopping up after them. It is very stressful.
Imagine having 15 mouths to feed. That'd be like having your entire family around for Christmas. Every day. No, thank you.
All of the dogs in it are in beautiful condition. You know, they're well fed and they're well looked after. But clearly, it's just there's too many dogs in the property, and it's a lot for Nikki and Ken to cope with because the owner of the dogs works 8 hours a day. So really, the work for looking after the dogs is being left with these two, and it isn't really fair.
So it sounds like these dogs really are too much to handle. And with Jason, the owner, planning to move out, Hershey's got a game plan that could help everyone.
What we're hoping is going to happen is that Jason agrees to keep about 4 or 5, when he moves out with them, and then Nikki will keep 2. There isn't a dog here that we couldn't help rehome. They're all lovely, they're not aggressive, and I think it's a credit to both of them and Jason, really.
So if Jason agrees, it will certainly be a relief for Nikki.
They need more in care and attention than I can give them. I can see a light at the end of the tunnel now.
But before Hershey can help, she'll have to come back and convince owner Jason.
If you get that message across to Jason, and then hopefully I've got less of a battle.
And Hershey is pretty certain that this will be the best option for everyone.
Thank you, honestly. Keeping pets should never cause you stress. It should never be that they cause you an anxiety or they're an issue. They should be a joy, you know, and you should only have what you can cope with.
But will Jason buy into Hershey's plan? Stay tuned to find out. Last year, the RSPCA won almost 4,000 cases of cruelty to animals. The reason for so many successful convictions is the work of the inspectors on the front line in bringing people to justice. And Claire Dew is one of them. Claire's been with the RSPCA for over 10 years. Before she joined the charity, she was a chartered surveyor, but gave up that career so that she could defend the rights of our four-legged friends. Today, Claire's on her way to an address in Tottenham, North London. She's concerned about a Maltese terrier called Dixie.
My colleagues received some photographs of a dog because it's living on the flat roof above a fast food establishment. There is a possibility that it could jump from the roof, so we're on our way now just to see if we can check that the dog's okay, and if not, get the dog down.
The main road is clearly very busy. If the dog was to get out here, it could be a disaster.
Let's go.
Not only could the dog be badly injured or killed, it could cause a serious accident too. Let's just hope Claire and her colleague Siobhan are able to get Dixie down from the roof.
Oh, there it is. Hello.
Looks like they've found little Dixie.
Well, it's loose. It could just run out in the road. I'm going round there. Hello.
Every owner has a legal responsibility to provide adequate shelter, food and water for their dog. It seems as though little Dixie's needs aren't being met.
It's got no water out here at all.
And with a busy road just round the corner, he could easily escape.
There's nothing to stop that dog running down the stairs out into the street. It does have shelter. It's got no water. It's boiling today, really, out here for a dog.
With a thick coat like Dixie's, dogs can overheat in hot weather. And with no water, the consequences can sometimes be fatal.
I just need legal seizure of a dog it's out in a public place, but I need it legally seized so that I can remove it. I'm not happy with how this dog is out here in this environment, so I've called the police and they've agreed to come out and assist me.
Claire will have to get the police to help her rescue the dog, as the RSPCA have no powers to do this alone. And while she waits for them to arrive, it's a good opportunity to document the evidence. And she's found a spectator.
I think they're fine, don't you? I don't think there's any animal welfare issues there.
So the meerkat is fine, but it's not difficult to do the right thing by a dog, is it? It's simples. Clearing up the dog poo would be a good start.
There are lots of things up here that could injure itself on. There's broken television sets, there's old bits of wood, there's glass.
Hopefully the police will be happy for Claire to take Dixie.
You'll see it can come down the step, it can run out here, or something can run up here. It's got no water. This is it. So I don't need you to do anything except say that I can take it away.
You can take it away, then.
Come on. Ready?
Now it's time to get little Dixie to a safer place.
Got it. Hello. See, it's not that bad, is it?
And it's not long before he finds one, in Claire's arms.
Come on, I think you've had a little wee.
In safe hands, this road's no danger for Dixie, and now he'll be taken somewhere more comfortable.
Come on, let's go. The environment, not having a bowl of water, not having something suitable to eat, and more important than that, just being secure in its environment. Things can come in and hurt it could get out and hurt itself, or God forbid, on that really busy road here in Tottenham, it could cause an accident and hurt lots of other people. And that's not acceptable, that's not responsible animal ownership.
We'll catch up with Dixie later in the show. Earlier on, in Birmingham, Hershey Bowl was called out to an address where there were enough huskies to pull a sledge across the Arctic. Not quite as useful in the West Midlands. All the dogs were very well looked after, but having so many mouths to feed was proving too much for Nikki.
They need more in care and attention than I can give them. It's very stressful.
But Hershey had a plan.
What we're hoping is going to happen is that Jason agrees to keep about 4 or 5.
Now all she has to do is convince the owner, Jason.
They're all lovely dogs, you know, they're husky type, but there are quite a lot of them in the property, so we just need to reduce the numbers.
Last week, Nikki agreed with Hershey that something had to change, but will Jason, the owner, go for it?
Hi, Jason. Nice to meet you.
Looks like everyone's happy to see Hershey. And us. With the group rounded up, that's better, my ears were starting to hurt, it's time for business.
I said this to Nikki last week as well. They're beautiful dogs, all of them. Nikki says you provide, it's you that feeds them.
Yeah, I paid 140 quid out on Thursday for the food for...
Weekly. That's a lot of money, isn't it?
So if my maths is correct, that's over £7,000 a year. But even with Nikki's help, Hershey's worried that caring for so many dogs is too big a burden.
There are certain requirements legally for each individual dog that an owner has to make sure that they adhere to, things like exercise and company and time. I have no immediate concern, they're sort of feeding and that, but the issue is that with this many dogs, they're not getting walked. The oldest dog is only 5, so none of them are, you know, we're not talking old middle-aged dogs. Oh, no. At 5, a husky needs still needs a lot of exercise.
Jason has plans to move out and hopes his new place will be more suitable for them.
My ideal place for what I want to do with them is Derbyshire Peaks, Cumbria,
okay,
or back home to the family roots of Scotland.
Okay.
But even if Jason does move to the countryside, Hershey is worried he'll still be taking on too much.
You'll be on your own, you'll be working full-time. What do you think is an acceptable amount for you to take? Because what you have to think about is you've got to walk these dogs, you know, you've got to exercise them, you've got to feed them, where are you going to put them?
But Jason has become very attached to his huskies. The thought of saying goodbye to any of them is a tough decision.
Hey, beautiful. You're much too big for me to hide in my jacket, aren't you? Look at you, hey.
Which ones do I choose and which ones don't I choose?
You know the dogs better than anyone. They're your dogs, and this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to give you the chance to choose which dogs you kept, rather than there be a situation down the line in 6 months where that choice is taken away from you because the dogs have expanded in numbers and then you're forced to rehome them. And that would be awful because you're not neglecting them, you're not being cruel, there's no intention of that here. It's just that there's a situation that's occurred and that's what we're here for, that's why I want this to work this way.
I wish you got it all going round in the head.
For Jason, the prospect of saying goodbye to any of his beloved dogs is upsetting. But after much deliberation, he's willing to compromise.
If all the puppies go, apart from obviously the one that's sold and one that Nick's keeping,
yeah,
if they all go, say example today.
Yeah, okay. How many is that?
It's 6.
So I'd take 6 puppies.
Yeah.
Why don't we do that then, Jason? Today, I'll take the 6 young puppies. Believe me, we will rehome them. We home check people and the home checks are rigorous. Trust me, they're strict. So I can guarantee they'll go to good homes.
A traumatic time for Jason, handing over 6 very cute husky pups.
I could do this all day. I could. Hey, I'll probably get told off, but I could.
But if Nikki keeps 2, he'll still be left with 7 adults to take with him when he moves, so plenty of company.
It seemed like a good idea to have you all in here.
And in the long term, it could well be a good idea to get his dogs neutered to stop this from happening again.
He is very upset, yeah. I can totally understand. This is, you know, the dogs are like family. They are his family. It's a very painful thing to you know, have to acknowledge that you're going to have to rehome some of your dogs. I totally sympathise with him. It's just so much better for us to work together, so it's a very positive thing.
It still amazes me to see that people are capable of such cruelty to dogs, and unfortunately, it's a daily battle for the RSPCA. Last year, over 200 people were convicted for dog-related offences every month under the Animal Welfare Act. The story you're about to see is particularly shocking, and you may find some of the footage disturbing.
In February 2009, the RSPCA raided a farm in East Sussex. The owner had already been warned about how she was keeping her dogs, but nothing could have prepared them for what waited for them on this visit. Inspector Gemma Potter was on the team.
When we went that day, the dogs were in the garage door was down, so again they didn't have any light, the conditions were much dirtier.
They found 10 collie dogs in a wire enclosure, but worse was yet to come.
As we were looking round the house, I remember hearing a really strange noise, like a really low-pitched, kind of whiny, waily, really eerie noise.
The noise came from behind this closed door. Waiting in the darkness was something truly disturbing.
I was just horrified.
2 suitcases stuffed with puppies.
They're dying. They're freezing cold and dying.
It was too late for some of them, but there were others still clinging on for life.
Our primary concern at that point was trying to revive the puppies, which were kind of, close to death. Luckily, this lady's Argo was on, and we stood with towels, trying to dry the puppies off and warm them over the Argo. We had hot water bottles on the go. If we'd have been minutes, hours later, a lot of them wouldn't have made it.
Incredibly, by sheer improvisation, the team managed to save 7 of the puppies. That day, 26 dogs were removed from the property. For this level of cruelty, the owner's actions didn't go unpunished. She was sent to prison for 20 weeks and banned from keeping animals for life. The good news is, all the dogs that survived this ordeal have now been rehomed, including Megan, one of the revived puppies. She lives with her new owner, Dorian Ledden.
As soon as we saw her, we're all in a cage, and she ran from one to another, licking and wanted to be with everyone at the same time. So she was obviously like a people dog.
Comfortable there, Megan?
Megan loves going for walks. She's sorry when we come back.
And today, Gemma is catching up with Megan and her new owner Dorian at the local cricket club.
Hello.
Hi, Gemma.
How are you doing?
Lovely.
Good, thanks. Yeah, good to see you. How's little Meggie?
Brilliant.
Meg,
Meg,
hello.
come on.
Hello. Hello, darling. Oh, she's so beautiful. When I first picked her up, she was a matter of days old, so she's obviously changed quite drastically since when I first saw her. She's a happy girl, and hopefully she hasn't really got any bad memories of what happened to her because she was so young, which is a real blessing.
Poor Megan had a terrible start to life, and if it wasn't for Gemma and her team, she wouldn't be here today. All that's behind her now, but it's a case that Gemma will never forget.
When people find out that I'm an RSPCA inspector, often one of the questions they'll ask you is, what's the worst thing you've seen, or what's the hardest case you've been involved in? And my mind always goes to this one. Finding those puppies in that suitcase, the sound that they were making and just the sights is something that I'll never forget.
Dorian, who I'm sure is speaking on behalf of Megan too, has the utmost respect for inspectors just like Gemma.
How they put up with seeing some of the sights they see that some of these people do to animals, I don't know how they do it. They're obviously animal lovers, but yet they can do it. I really take my cap off to them.
And it's moments like this that make the job worthwhile.
It's just lovely to see her, just being a normal collie dog and enjoying a normal life.
Earlier on, Kathy Hyde and her team rescued 41 dogs from a suspected puppy trafficking ring. The police and the RSPCA are still investigating those responsible. Some of the dogs were very poorly, but the great news is 40 survived. And remember that pregnant French bulldog? She gave birth to a healthy litter of 6. Since his training session with Nidge, Gizmo's confidence is improving, and one day he'll be as cool as a cucumber. And little Dixie is doing much better now.
Oh, he looks amazing.
His owners didn't come forward, and he's been happily rehomed.